They have their emergency meetings. Something I would suggest for like the days of the field, something during emergency. Good and necessary. In the organization. Well, that's what people do.
Well, this man who's running it has been doing it for job and I don't move all the time. But she was running it and I didn't know it.
Mark seemed quite distressed about it. It's people like him that need it. And the people that are fighting for power should realize that yeah, it's
Well, you're not keen, is it? Oh, Shabbos are well. What's
Now that's a decent paper. Yeah, I read it about 6 times a day. In a perverse way, if you read the charts, you know that Hamas and Netanyahu actually need each other. It's quite a what's the word? Symbiosis. No, they need each other both to stay in power. They use each other. I don't like children music in the beginning, throughout the beginning. Shabbat Shalom. We need some more discipline around here. Discipline. Hello, Ron. Welcome back, Ron. Ron traveled all the way from Sri Lanka to be here today. Yeah, he's heading back this afternoon. Good. Welcome back.
Pity you couldn't make it there on your Indian trip.
One of these days. Everybody says it's great.
But it's really developing just phenomenal.
But what if I want to be somewhere where there's no development?
What's that?
What if I want to be somewhere where there's no development?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I know.
We're on page 117. And for those who are disciplined enough, please stand. Thank you, O God, for this new day, for morning sun, evening star, for flowering of tree and flowing of tide, for life-giving rains and grandchildren and cooling breezes, for the changing seasons, for the cycle of growth and decay of life and death. We awake and behold a new day. O God, renew us into life. Teach us to recognize your presence in creation. Grateful for your gifts, may we dedicate all our powers to your service. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for eyes to see.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for clothes to wear.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the joy of freedom.
Praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, our lives.
Praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for providing for all our needs.
Praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, daily renewing us.
Praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the blessing of sleep, the privilege of waking to a new day. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam baruch hu, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, Ha'olam b'fi amo, Meshubach mefar bilshon chasidav v'mecha, Bishvachot, Znerot, Negadel chavanam nechacha malkeinu yachid chei ha'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal batishbachot. With the coming of day and night I will enter the covenant of God, and when evening and morning depart I will recite God's decrees. God Most High, you are my righteousness, you teach me goodness. You are the fountain of knowledge, the dwelling place of holiness, and the summit of glory. Eternal might and majesty are yours. I will choose whatever you teach me, gladly accepting your judgments. As soon as I move my hands and feet, I will praise your name. When I go out and when I come in, when I lie down, when I rise up. When I rest on my bed, I will sing your praise, and in the company of my friends, I will praise you. Not the words of my mouth bless you. Yishtabach Shimcha La'ad Malkeinu, Ha'el HaMelech HaKadol HaKadosh, B'Shamayim U'Ba'aretz, Ki L'chana Adonai Eloheinu V'Elohei Avotenu, Shir U'Shvacha, Halel V'Zimra, Brachot V'Hodaot, Me'ata V'Ad Olam, Baruch Atah Adonai, Habocher B'Sirei Zimra. And let's turn over to 135. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Please be seated. We praise you, eternal Lord our God, sovereign of the universe, maker of light and creator of darkness, author of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it, and in your goodness you renew creation continually, day by day. How manifold are your works, O God! With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creation. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, creator of light. Ahava Rabba Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu. Chemla Gedola V'Terach Hamota Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu. Ba'avur Avotenu Shebatchu V'cha. Vatlandem Chukei Chayim. Ken Tichonenu Ukandenu. V'ten Blibenu Lahavinu Lahaskil. Shmoa Lilmod Ulamer. Lishmor V'La'asot. Kayeme Kol Divrei Toratecha. Bahava. V'ha'erenenu b'Toratecha. V'dabek libenu b'mitzvotecha. Yached levavenu lahava u'yira et shemecha. Kivanu v'charta yachedcha bahava. Baruch atah Adonai habocher ba'amo Yisrael bahava. And please stand. Shema Yisrael. Adonai Eloheinu. Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol ma'odecha, v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha v'veitecha, u'vleftecha b'aderech, u'v'shachtecha u'v'kumecha, v'shartam la'ot aliyatecha, v'hayu letotafot be'enecha, Uvtata mom mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. And let's be seated.
Was ist denn mit Gott vorbei? Wie ein Kloschin, Elohechem, Ani, Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzitietem me'eretz Mitzrayim, Yod lachem Elohim, Ani, Adonai Elohechem.
Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, eternal one, that you are sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper, our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. Redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. And then with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Eloheinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovi, V'konei Hako, V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'nehem, L'ma'an Shmo B'yahava, Melech Ozero Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayim Etim Atah Rav Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGeshem, Mazriach HaShemesh U'Morid HaTal, Mechalkel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechayim Etim B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Rofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umchayim Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Mi Chamocha Ba'al Giburot, Umi Domelach, Melech Meimitum Chayei Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atala Chayot Meitim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaMeitim. We sanctify your name on earth. As in the prophet's vision, the hosts of heaven sing your praise above, for so it is written.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech haaretz Tzevaot.
Kvodo Malei Olam.
Baruch haba Adonai, B'Kavod.
Nimkom Mechamalkeinu Tofia, V'timloch Aleinu, Ki Mechakim Anachnu Lach.
Lach Adonai le'olam, Adonai Tzion, Hallelujah.
From generation to generation we will make known your greatness. To the end of time we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O our God, shall never depart from our lips. We praise you, eternal one, holy God, and please be seated. We inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn anew that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness and consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good.
Yismachu b'malchutecha, B'nei Shabbat, B'korei Yonek. Yismachu b'malchutecha, Shomrei Shabbat B'korei Yonek. Amekadeshei, Amekadeshei, Amekadeshei Sheli. Kulam Yisrael, V'yitamgu.
Our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments, and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, eternal one, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, And in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, O God, and will know we worship in reverence. Modim anachnu lach. Sha'atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu le'olam va'ed. Sur chayenu magen yishenu. Atahu ledor v'ador. Nodeh lecha u'nsaper tilatecha. Al chayenu hamizri bi'adecha. Vol nishmotenu ha'pakadot lach. V'al nisecha shebecho yohimanu. Vol niflotecha v'tobotecha. Shebechol eitered v'avoker v'tzoharayim. Baruch atah Adonai. Hatov shimcha u'lecha na'el hodot. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Aleinu v'yol kol Yisrael amecha. Arachenu avinu. Kulanu k'echad v'or panecha. Ki v'or panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu. Torat chayim v'havat chesed. U'tzedakah uvracha v'rachamim v'chayim v'shalom. V'tov beinecha levarech et omecha Yisrael. Vet kol ha'amin. V'chol eit v'chol sha'a v'shlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai. Osei ha'shalom. Turn over to page 481 for our Torah service. There is none like you, Eternal One. Among the God's people worship, there are no deeds like yours. Your sovereignty is everlasting, your reign endures from age to age. Eternal One, you reign, you have reigned, you will reign forever. Eternal God, give strength to your people. Eternal God, bless your people with peace. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Eternal One is our God. The Eternal God is one. Gadlu Adonai Tin Roma Mashma Yachtav. Let us magnify the Eternal One. Together, let us exalt God's name. So last week, I believe you all read something of the Noah story. And would anybody care to describe Noah's character? Any clues?
You could read it two ways. He was said to be righteous in his generation, which could be praise. But as the generation was said to be evil, wicked, violent, and all the rest of it, he was probably a decent sort, but not a great sage.
Okay, what's the phrase? Damned with faint praise.
Yeah. But he had some very good qualities. He did what he was told by God to the letter.
To the letter?
Yeah.
But then he got drunk and did silly things.
He didn't get to that bit last week.
Like some rather notorious ship captains, but at least he completed the journey. Didn't do what a lot of captains do in every port. Right, so let's say that Noah, as Hannah says, his strength is that, at least for the preparations and for the voyage itself, he does what he's told. He and Mrs. Noah, she's sort of written out of the story, but between them they somehow manage the feeding schedules for all the animals and the various life forms. He's pretty taciturn, and we don't really have much of a sense of him. He's just a nebuch, really. So now we have Avram, different kettle of fish. We get to know him a lot more. He is highly complex. We'll see later that he has issues within his household, some domestic issues. He has issues with his offspring, and they certainly have issues with him. But he is revered nonetheless by what we call the Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, as the, let's say, the father or the founder of monotheism. Not an easy task, I suppose. And today we begin with his cycle, and he is told to go out, lech lecha. But as you may know, lech lecha is syntactically ambiguous. And what does that mean? If you're not a generative grammarian, what does that mean? It means that it has two distinctly different meanings. One is go out, and literally it could be taken to mean go to yourself. So we have an outer journey, a physical journey, a journey on foot, and we have an inner journey, a journey inside one's heart and in one's head. And that's the story of Avram, who becomes Abraham, and we follow the highs and lows of his inner and outer journeys, and we bear witness to them. So, Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 9, page 60 in the Soncino, and page 18 in the JPSA. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach, Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notein ha'Torah. The Lord said to Avram, go forth from your native land and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, curse him that curses you, and all the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you. Avram went forth as the Lord had commanded him, and Lot went with him. Avram was 75 years old when he left Haran. Avram took his wife Sarai and his brother's son Lot, and all the wealth that they had amassed and the persons that they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan. When they arrived in the land of Canaan, Avram passed through the land as far as the site of Shechem at the terebinth of Moreh. The Canaanites were there then in the land. The Lord appeared to Avram and said, I will assign this land to your offspring, and he built an altar there to the Lord, who had appeared to him. From there he moved up to the hill country east of Bethel and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And he built there an altar to the Lord and invoked the Lord by name. Then Avram journeyed by stages toward the Negev. Vayomer Adonai el Avram, lech lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladetecha u'mibeit avicha el ha'aretz asher arecha ve'e'escha legoy gadol v'avarechecha v'agadla shemecha ve'hieh bracha v'avarcha v'avarechecha u'mkalelcha ha'or v'nivrechu v'cha kol mishpachot ha'adama Vayelech Avram ka'asher diber elav Adonai. Vayelech ito Lot. Va'Avram ben chamesh shanim v'shivim shana b'tzeito mecharan. Vayikach Avram et Sarai ishto v'et Lot ben achiv v'et kol rechusham asher rachashu v'et hanefesh asher asu b'charan. Vayetzu lalechet artsa Canaan, vayavo'u artsa Canaan, vayavor Avram ba'aretz ad makom Shechem, ad Elon Moreh, Knaani az ba'aretz. Vayera Adonai el Avram, vayomer, v'zaracha etein et ha'aretz hazot, vayiven sham mizbeach l'Adonai, hanire elav, Ya'atek misham hahara mikeder leBeitel vayet ohala. Beit El miyam v'ha'i mikeder even sham mizbeach l'Adonai vayikrach b'shem Adonai v'yisa Avram haloch v'nasoa hanekah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein ha'Torah. And please stand.
Baruch shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael ikdushato.
Today's Haftorah portion is from Isaiah chapter 40, verse 27, and I'll be reading on to chapter 41, verse 16. You can find it in the JPS FNAF 701, and Sonsino on page 82. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'chavim v'im tovim, v'ratza b'divreihem, הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בתורה, ובמשה עבדו, ובישראל עמו, ובנביאי האמת והצדק. Why do you say, O Jacob? Why declare, O Israel, my way is hid from the Lord, my cause is ignored by my God? Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is God from of old, creator of the earth from end to end. He never grows faint or weary. His wisdom cannot be fathomed. He gives strength to the weary, fresh vigour to the spent. Youths may grow faint and weary, and young men stumble and fall, but they who trust in the Lord shall renew their strength as eagles grow new plumes. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall march and not grow faint. Stand silent before me, coastlands, and let nations renew their strength. Let them approach to state their case. Let us come forward together for argument. Who has roused a victor from the east, summoned him to his service, has delivered up nations to him, and trodden sovereigns down, has rendered their swords like dust, their bows like wind-blown straw? He pursues them, he goes on unscathed. No shackle is placed on his feet. Who has wrought and achieved this? He who announced the generations from the start, I, the Lord, who was the first and will be with the last as well. The coastlands look on in fear. The ends of earth tremble. They draw near and come. Each one helps the other, saying to his fellow, take courage. The woodworker encourages the smith. He who flattens with the hammer encourages him who pounds the anvil. He says of the riveting, it is good, and he fixes it with nails, that it may not topple. But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, seed of Abraham, my friend, you whom I drew from the ends of the earth and called from its far corners, to whom I said, you are my servant. I chose you, I have not rejected you. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not frightened, for I am your God. I strengthen you and I help you. I uphold you with my victorious right hand. Shamed and chagrined shall be all who contend with you. They who strive with you shall become as naught and shall perish. You may seek, but shall not find those who struggle with you. Less than nothing shall be the men who battle against you. For I, the Lord, am your God, who grasped your right hand, who say to you, have no fear, I will be your help. Fear not, O worm Jacob, O men of Israel, I will help you, declares the Lord. I, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I will make of you a threshing board, a new thresher with many spikes. You shall thresh mountains to dust and make hills like chaff. You shall winnow them, and the wind shall carry them off. The whirlwind shall scatter them. But you shall rejoice in the Lord and glory in the Holy One of Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Sor kol ha'olamim sadiq v'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omei v'oseh, ha'medaber u'mekayem shekol divrei emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah, v'al ha'avodah, v'al ha'nevi'im v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, shenatan lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו. אנחנו מודים לך, ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our Sovereign Lady Queen Elizabeth and all the royal family, for those who govern our country and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom, justice, tolerance, and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity. Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation, its leaders, its members, and all who enter this synagogue to meet, to study, and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts among us and heal those in anxiety or pain. I've just learned that I think Vivian Schreier may have fallen again. So she was intending to come today. So I'll try and find out how she is this afternoon. It's not good. Thinking of Maureen and Alvin Miller, Stan Jacobs, Mike Solomon, and Barry Goodman, and who else am I forgetting? Rhoda Cohn, who's gone back up to Sheffield. I hope she's settling in well. Yeah. It's good to see you, Mary. Excellent. And Ron, I hope your wing gets better soon. You must have been trying to fly that plane or something. May we all find here community, friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregations of the House of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rule soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and do your will. Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty, justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbors, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem. Yahalelu et Shem Adonai ki nisgav shemo levado. Let us praise the Eternal One whose name alone is exalted. God's teaching is perfect.
Reviving the soul,
God's word is unfailing.
making wise the simple,
God's precepts are right.
delighting the mind,
God's commandments are clear.
enlightening the eyes,
God's doctrine is pure.
enduring forever,
God's guidance is true.
and altogether just.
Behold, a good doctrine has been given you. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. be seated, everybody. So speaking of journeys into the unknown, last Shabbat, if you might recall, I raced off in the rain after the service and went straight to Heathrow. And, no, that was 2 Shabbats ago. Time gets rather strange. And then spent a very intensive week in Jordan, Palestine, and Israel, taking a group of Methodists from around the world, including bishops from New Zealand, India, the States, bless you, here, and I'm forgetting, Germany. And the idea was that they would see the work of Eco-Peace Middle East, and we would think about potential collaborations between the Methodist World Council and Eco-Peace in terms of water issues, human rights, and restoring the Jordan River and the Dead Sea, now actually the Sea of Galilee, which is at the lowest level in recorded history. I joked with them it probably wouldn't take too much to walk on the Sea of Galilee at the moment. It was really fascinating. The group was absolutely fantastic. And I'm really impressed with their concern, their compassion, the no-nonsense practicality of the Methodists. And I suppose if liberal Jews were Christians, they'd be somewhere between Quakers and Methodists, somewhere in that region. And a really superb group. And it was a privilege for me to guide them and to help so much with the program. And we ended up in Jerusalem, and in Jerusalem and also in the Sea of Galilee, I saw a whole number of Christian sites that I'd never seen before, and found that really to be most fascinating. So, journeys. Israel, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, is embarking on a journey that's a little bit different than we're used to. And if you turn over to 374, there's a paragraph or so from the Declaration of Independence. And we read this occasionally when we have Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel Independence Day, on Shabbat. And it says here, the state of Israel will be open to the immigration of Jews from all countries of their dispersion, will promote the development of the country for the benefit of all its inhabitants. So you recognize a little bit in the paragraph that we read after the reading of the Torah. Will be based on the principles of liberty, justice, and peace as conceived by the prophets of Israel, and that would be especially Micah and Isaiah. Will uphold the full social and political equality of all its citizens without distinction of religion, race, or sex. Will guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, education, and culture. Will safeguard the holy places of all religions, and will loyally uphold the principles of the United Nations Charter. Well, in recent months, Israel has, the Knesset has passed something called the Basic Law. We just touched on this a few weeks ago, and I'll just reiterate the basic principles here, and we can reflect on how different this sounds than the Declaration of Independence. It's a pretty different beast. So, the Basic Law in some ways compiles lots and bits and bobs of different laws that are already around, but redacts them together to give quite a different emphasis. So, Basic principles: the land of Israel is the historical homeland of the Jewish people in which the state of Israel was established. The state of Israel is the national home of the Jewish people in which it fulfills its natural, cultural, religious, and historical right to self-determination. The right to exercise national self-determination in the state of Israel is unique to the Jewish people. Symbols of the state: the name of the state is Israel. The state flag is white with 2 blue stripes near the edges and a blue Star of David in the center. The state emblem is a 7-branched menorah with olive leaves on both sides and the word Israel beneath it. The state anthem is Hatikva. Details regarding the state symbols will be determined by law. Jerusalem, complete and united, is the capital of Israel. The state's language is Hebrew. The Arabic language has a special status in the state. Regulating the use of Arabic in state institutions or by them will be set in law. The clause does not harm the status given to the Arabic language before this law came into effect. The state will be open for Jewish immigration and the ingathering of exiles. The state will strive to ensure the safety of the members of the Jewish people in trouble or in captivity due to the fact of their Jewishness or their citizenship. The state shall act within the diaspora to strengthen the affinity between the state and members of the Jewish people. The state shall act to preserve the cultural, historical, and religious heritage of the Jewish people among Jews in the diaspora. The state views the development of the Jewish settlement as a national value and will act to encourage and promote its establishment and consolidation. And then there's some stuff about the Hebrew calendar, the Gregorian calendar, and how they're used. Independence Day is the official national holiday of the state. And then there's the Memorial Day for the fallen in Israel's wars and Holocaust and heroism, and Remembrance Day are official memorial days of the state. The Sabbath and the festivals of Israel are the established days of rest in the state. Non-Jews have a right to maintain days of rest on their Sabbaths and festivals. Details of this issue will be determined by law. And then it says, under the section called immutability, this basic law shall not be amended unless by another basic law passed by a majority of Knesset members. So Israel does not have a constitution, a formal written constitution. So this is a way of trying to pull together the spirit of laws in recent years and to give a sense of the flavor of things. So just for a few minutes, let's consider this and what are the implications? Well, the law was pushed by Prime Minister Netanyahu and several other of the right-wingers. You might think that comparing it to the language of the Declaration of Independence is far more particularistic, far more ethnic. It appears in the sort of, let's say if we have a poll called Democracy and a poll called Judaism, that the balance has shifted quite sharply, right? But there might be a question of what sort of Judaism, who decides what Judaism is in this context? That's a huge question and very troubling. What about the communities like, for example, the Druze, who are not Jewish, who fight in the army, who are considered to be extremely loyal to the state? They have been absolutely apoplectic because they're feeling very left out of this. And their complaints have been in some ways acknowledged, but in some ways completely rejected. There are tens of thousands of Israelis who protested on behalf of their concern about the Druze. And it feels like a beginning of something as well. Some would argue that it's kind of the thin end of the wedge, and that things will get even more orthodox and even more ethnocentric And if you recall the sentence in there about settlements, it doesn't say which settlements. The only settlements nowadays are east of the Green Line. Yeah, so that's of a huge concern. Israel is more and more, it appears to be heading in the direction of basically annexing that land, and will be really clashing with what we would consider to be international law. It says about Jerusalem united and all the rest of it. Well, that contrasts pretty sharply with what the paradigm has been suggested in terms of the two-state solution. And very much as early as the 50s, the 1950s, by Christians, that Jerusalem will somehow be shared by all three faiths. And there should be some kind of novel internationalized government in which various municipal things like picking up the rubbish will get done, but actually the religious access and everything else will be in a way independent of any state. Or maybe the states, there'll be different sorts of Jerusalems. There'll be the spiritual Jerusalem, which is very much internationalized. There'll be the municipal bit, which is controlled by sort of a municipal garbage picking up sort of lot. And then in their hearts, there'll be some arrangement where Jews can actually say, well, it's our capital, and in some way, in their hearts, Palestinians can say it's their capital. So a lot of imagination, a lot of flexibility and creativity. That doesn't seem to be included at all in this new basic law. And as I mentioned alongside the Druze, it seems that minorities, and there are many different minorities living in the state of Israel, there's really very little, if anything, about their status in this new law. What does the public think of the law? The sense is that a majority of the public, Jewish public, approves of it, but then we know that the Jewish public has shifted very sharply to the right in recent years. So folks like us, where do we stand? Those of us who might be sort of liberal Jews or more secular in the state of Israel, I'm really not sure. I think some are quite troubled. But the real question, the inner question, what's below the surface, is about definitions. Who has the power in Israel to decide the definition of Judaism, Jewishness, and so on? And I think that's where we would have a really deep problem. We see what goes on in the Kotel. We see what goes on with the continued discrimination against progressive Judaism. And we see the centrality of orthodoxy and what we would regard as quite a corrupt orthodoxy in terms of deciding those things. And the door is wide open for annexation and stuff that we're really quite afraid of. And in my discussions with people in Israel on my trip, both Jewish, Christian, and Muslim, the sense is that the ultimate aim of the Orthodox there has something to do with setting up the Third Temple, which would really, really, really shift for people all over the world the balance of power and the status of Jerusalem. So, with this law and what I saw on my trip, I come away very, very worried, more worried than ever. Sorry, I can't be more reassuring. But nonetheless, like-minded Jews, liberal Christians, and the Palestinians that we meet with, we are even more concerned, even more determined just to keep chipping away and to make those relationships, because if we don't, then we simply despair. So let's say pessimism, but determination and faith. important thing is not to be afraid. As I was thinking while we were crossing from Jordan to Israel at the Sheikh Hussein Bet Sha'an crossing, that really narrow bridge right over the tiny Jordan River. So let's turn over to page 520, and please stand for the Amen. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol v'atek gedula v'yotzer breshit asher sam chalkeinu li'ached et shemo v'goraleinu l'hamlik amal Moshav Yekaro b'shamayim ima'am, u'shchinatu zo begofhei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efesu lato, karkatuv b'torato, v'yadata hayom v'hashevota elevavecha, ki Adonai Elohim b'shamayim ima'am, haaretz mitachat ein od. Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might, when false gods will vanish from our hearts and idolatry cease forever. Help us to perfect the world by bringing it under your unchallenged rule. When all will invoke your name, relinquish evil, and turn to you alone. May all who dwell on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you let them humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honor. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. For ultimate sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory. As it is written, the Eternal One shall reign forever. As Marianne Evans wrote, the growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts, and that things are not so ill with you and me as they might have been is half owing to the number who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs. Even when they are gone, the departed are with us. They inspire us to live as in their higher moments they themselves sought to live. We remember our loved ones now, for they remain in our hearts. They are a continual blessing, and we remember Max Krimgoltz. And Jeffrey, we wish you strength and long life as you remember your father, Ronald Phillips. And I think we should, a number of us should telephone Vivian Schreier this afternoon and wish her strength and long life as she remembers her husband Lionel Schreier. And George, we wish you strength and long life as you remember your father, Marcel Fulken. And would anyone like to mention the name of a loved one or friend? And let's read together. Yitkadal yitkadash shmei rabbah, ba'alma divrach ve'utei yamlich machutei, b'chayechon yamechon, V'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael, V'gala B'zman Kari V'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam V'lamei L'mayam. Yitzbarak V'yeshavak V'tvar V'termam V'itnasei. V'tadar V'taleh V'talal Shmei L'kudushav B'richu. Le'elam Kol Birchata V'ashirata. Tush B'chata V'nechamata. Aminan Galma V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba Min Shamayim. V'chayim aleinu b'yom kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mrocha, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu b'yom kol Yisrael, b'yom kol b'nei Adam, v'imru Amen. Please be seated, everybody. And Ein Kalokeinu on 5 to 8. gospel choir. I've always wanted to have a gospel choir. I think, Joseph, you might be able to pull it off. Wonderful. So we're quite early this morning. We've got 10 or 15 minutes. If you want to stay and schmooze, fine. If you want to run off, I don't know, to the West End or Soho or something, get on your pegs and run.
People's March.
Hannah has a announcement.
I just wanted to say that some of you will remember, not all the way back, but the synagogue is celebrating 70 years of its existence, and we're having a tea on Sunday the 4th of November, which is approaching rapidly. Now, I'm sure that many of you have already given in your names to the office to say that you're coming, but if you would like to come, please could you let the office know, because I need to ask Frank to ask Kathy to make a cake for us. And we need to know whether it's a cake for 50 or 150.
70 millimeters or 70 inches.
Exactly. So if you would kindly do that, that would be very helpful. Thank you very much.
Great. It's going to be a very light-hearted afternoon. Lots of images, and I think there's a video that Ron made some years ago we're going to show. And I think I'm going to bring out the slides that I made. Some of you remember I did a slideshow of the old building just before we left, and all the different little bits. So that might bring back some nice memories for you. Okay, so Hakachonic amongst yourselves.
It was off before the service, so I didn't turn it on at the mail.
Yes, no, very young. She came in, I remember. I needed a face.
No. And the sacred to the mundane. Good choice, to be honest. I always think they're going to be behind them. But it's a nice shot, they got good bands, you know. Did they? I can't remember. That's what I used to have a bigger stock. That's why I used to have a bigger stock of stuff like that. You're right, that's more stuff for the home, isn't it? But it's nice though. It's got to keep some big faces going, otherwise, well, it's takes them over, nothing. Arrows get some more really well to shots. It's get these lots of shots. It's improved to going to this. It's got better.
That way you don't
It's not going too distant. It should be shocking, to be honest. But to me, it's alright, especially if it was very good. Oh, well, it was happening. It wasn't changed. You were deciding out what stage it would be that one. Yeah, they call it rugby park, yeah. You go down, well, you don't have to go down the stairs, but you go down the stairs, but another way down there, and you just walk down the Olympic Way, as if you're going to the stadium, you've got the arch in front of you, and at the bottom you turn right, and it's down in that direction. Of course, it's like that, it shows you got like a mini vista. Into vista, just a village, But yeah, oh yeah, then it gets out of distance. I'm not sure it's quite skinny, but they've got it's a big variety. That means lots of the things you're after, really. It's nice. Well, okay, they've got some big names. They do have big names, but I don't the impression it's particularly expensive. It depends what you're after. They had variety of shops. Yeah, it's not the same as I believe online shopping for clothes. You just buy it, you don't wear it, you wear it, you don't wear it, you'll send it back again.
Hello, are you better? Are you in your house? Yes, yes.
She's a Pinnerite.
Oh, another Pinnerite.
She's an original. She's been there for
14 years ago.
Remember that there was in the Shakespeare play there was a name of Cleopatra. This is Sophia Gregory's Sophia Gregory's Cleopatra.
Oh, in the play, in the West End. Sophia Gregory.
Because you said, I know he's fine, he's quite fat, he was psychologically, remember, was or the lady was on her,
That's right, yes. Yes, she was a very... Janie, that's right. Yeah.
And then he listened to him,
I remember, Janie,
Yes, it was one with the Cyprus.
Yes, it is. Oh, it is.
That's not that Northern Cyprus family.
Because there's no Cyprus, it's not it's a Turkish side.
Yeah.
I saw something like he'd never been to these places, actually. We saw something at Ferro's tower, but Ferro's in Cyprus, isn't it? Yes, and Famagusta.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, yeah. You've got Nicosia on the side.
British
Then we spent the second week we were in Israel seeing our children. Yes.
I'm just tidying up a bit.
Shall I just
Too much on the there and our grandchildren. Our son and his children live in Jerusalem. And I thought so. Looking to live.
Oh my gosh, wow. What a good reason to go there. A bit of summer water, you know.
Yeah.
Who did you fly there with? Which airline do you go with there? Which airline takes you? Wizz Air.
Yes,
Wizz
yes.
Air. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a bit squashed, you know.
Yeah, it's not. It's like the low cost. I know. Okay, but a lot more people go to Israel nowadays. Right, a lot more airlines
Yeah,
go
yeah.
there than they used to.
Yeah,
So that's good. That's good to know. Wizz Air. That would be. Okay, oh. Nice to have relatives in Israel.
Well,
It is. It's nice. They've gone way away.
well,
but
it stops us from going to other places, you know.
yeah, that's true. But wow,
I'm not at that stage yet.
I think guaranteed a nice weather.
Yeah.
With the company, it's the upgrade.
So I don't have any experience. I remember
They usually finish about 12:30 or 12:35.
€1 a day or something. You could get a wheelchair, and they dropped it off and they picked it up. Maybe there's call.
Maybe you don't need
Maybe
it, but
call CAB, and maybe there's a Red Cross in Hammersmith. They just drop it off and you can upgrade the place. And that way, if you do some shopping around,
yeah.
I'll come on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's only just across Hammersmith Bridge, first building on the left hand side.
You got it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I'll come.
Good.
So you don't have to wait for me at the station.
How's the family?
Really
Lovely,
good.
isn't it? That's really nice.
Lewis is at Oxford doing his PhD.
Oh, I would say he's not a barrister quite yet.
Miriam's a barrister.
Oh,
She's
she's a
qualified.
barrister.
She's. If you need a criminal barrister, let me know.
Oh, she's a criminal side.
Yeah, she does criminal.
Julian's not doing too bad. He's another kid apart from you know.
Yeah. And